What's up? Good morning, everybody. This is our boy 4 Triple O. Listen, man, I wanted to talk to y'all about, the topic of this video is fighting for your economic survival. What I mean by fighting for your economic survival, first of all, good morning. Hope everything is going well for everybody. It's Saturday down here in Miami. I'm in Miami Lake, so, everything is going okay. But I wanted to talk about fighting for your economic survival. And the reason why I quit my job is because, anybody who know me or know the people who I grew up around, I got a lot of old friends, that we still friends to this day. Everybody was hustlers. Everybody was always into getting money and doing all kind of stuff. So when you get exposed to that at such an early age, that's embedded in you to want to get your own and make money. Now, I'm not saying, be your own boss, have your own business. I'm not saying for anyone to quit their job like I did. I'm saying a person can work a 9-to-5 job, right? And you can invest in something, invest in somebody else's business, or invest in a business where you can see residual income every week or every month. Or you can, also, not only that, you can start your online business. Online businesses is where it's at. You see what I'm saying? Because you don't have to leave your job. You don't have to stop doing what you're doing, but you just make money online. And as long as you have a cell phone, you're good to go. So what I mean by fighting for your economic freedom is this. My mother passed away at 54 years old of cancer 17 years ago, right? She was broke. She didn't have any money. She was getting a Social Security check that was giving her $360 a month, which is nothing. Financially, I was in a hell of a place. I was in a bad spot at that time. And didn't even realize my mother was dying because she didn't tell me. But the point of the matter is, we ended up having a funeral. She got buried. She didn't have a tombstone. We didn't have enough money to pay for a tombstone because the funeral was $10,000. So we didn't have that, and she didn't have life insurance. So what I learned from that is there's a lot of our elderly people, and even young people. There's a lot of young people that I see that are getting killed, dying, and their family got to put together GoFundMe pages or put together car washes or fish fries to try to raise money up to bury their loved one. You see what I'm saying? So what happens is, when we're young, when we're in our 20s, when we're in our teens, our parents don't teach us about money. They don't teach us how, hey, listen, you really got to learn how to own your own business. You really got to learn how credit works. Learn about credit, what credit is all about, because we live in a credit society. And the way these white people got this stuff structured, this is their system. It's a credit society, and you got to have money. And if you're broke, but you got good credit, you can always get you some money. But if you broke, and you have bad credit, it's going to be hard for you to get you some money. Real hard. You know what I mean? Your resources and your choices are very limited. You see what I'm saying? And your resources are going to be very minute for the simple fact that you got bad credit, you ain't got no money. You see what I'm saying? That's a double whammy. You see what I'm saying? That's like being a drug addict and an alcoholic. But even though alcohol is considered a drug, but I'm just saying, that's a double whammy. So what I told myself was I wasn't going to go out like that. So I have a life insurance policy right now. If something happens to me, my family taken care of. They don't have to worry about nothing. They don't have to worry about burying me. They don't have to worry about anything. I even have a will. You see what I'm saying? And I did all that because no one taught me this. My mother didn't teach me this. I didn't know who my father was, and no one in my family taught me this, and none of my friends taught me because none of their parents taught them. You see what I'm saying? So I'm preparing for the what if, just in case, I have everything set. That's like a security blanket. That's so if something happens, they won't have anything to worry about. So, fight for your economic, fight for your financial livelihood, or fight for your, fight for your economic, I forgot the topic of this thing. But anyways, fight for your economic freedom. You see what I'm saying? You want to fight for that. Fight for your economic freedom because, you know what I mean? It's a bad business model to be able just to say, I'm going to work on someone's job and then I'm going to continue to get a check. I'm going to go there every week. And they're going to give me my check. That's your financial security blanket, right? This is the problem with that. This is the problem with that model. It's a very unsafe model. I got friends who've been working on jobs for 10, 11, 12, 13 years, and then the white folks just decided they don't want them no more, and they fired them. They fired them. You see what I'm saying? I got people who've been working for all these years, and they got fired. And they got fired. I'm looking at this white dude just punching a damn tree. Talking to the tree, talking about some what kind of bull. He must have been watching Last Dragon or something. But anyways, Yeah, you know what I mean? So when you get fired, I had one friend, I'm not gonna say her name, I was talking to her on the phone, she was crying. Like, I can't believe this, you know, they fired me and yada, 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 blah, blah, squaze. I've been there for 13 years, and then she said Jesus gonna make a way for her, and the Lord, and she's just gonna pray about it, and yada, 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 yada. Listen, man, that's a terrible feeling. That's a terrible feeling. So I told myself, I say, man, even though I had my CDL truck driver license and I was driving locally, right? I told myself, I say, man, this ain't what you want to do. You know what I mean? You ain't happy doing this. You know, you use the job, you know, you save your money up, which I did. I did save my money up. And, you know, so I was able to, you know, save my money and put something aside to have my bills taken care of for the next 4 months. And then I said, well, that's about all the time I need. And then, you know, I had good credit. So by me having good credit, you know, it opened up a lot of other doors for me from a financial standpoint. So, you know what I mean? So I planned this out. It's been 2 years in the making. I did plan it out. I educated myself, you know what I mean? So I had attended Dr. Boyce Watkins Black Wealth Boot Camp. So I attended that last year. Last year around this time. It was, matter of fact, it was in July. Last July. That was the first time. That was his first class. I learned a lot from that class. You see what I'm saying? And then, you know, I watched some, you know, Dane Vance videos when he was on the Breakfast Club. That right there kind of like piggyback off to the Dr. Boyce Watkins thing, and that really like told me, hey, look, this is what you need to do. And I was planning my exit strategy from the job then. Even though I didn't like the way Dane delivered his message, because he's very arrogant, he's very cocky. You know what I mean? That's just his nature. That's a character flaw that he has. But once I stripped him down, once I got rid of the arrogance and once I got rid of the cockiness and I got rid of the way he delivered the message, I sat down and listened to the message. What was he trying to convey in the message? And that's what I took out of it, and I carried that with me to this day. You know, so that's what I mean by that, man. I mean, you have to really prepare. You know what I mean? Like, when we was in our teens and our 20s, we wasn't taught about money and credit. So now we in our 40s, 30s, and 40s and stuff like that. And it's like, man, we're going to get older. We're going to get older. When we get older, then what? You don't want to be 55 years old, still have to work for the white man, getting a check every goddamn week, waiting on yourself. Child, I can't wait till I retire. My Social Security. You don't want that. You don't want that. You seen your parents before you doing that. You don't want that. You see what I'm saying? What I teach my children in my household is this. I'm teaching them, listen, I told my son, he's 15 years old. I said, by the time you turn 18, man, you're going to have your own business. I'm going to help him. He's going to have his own business before then, but I'm going to help him get his own business. He's going to get trained how to run his business. You see what I'm saying? And then he's going to be able to employ himself, and he's going to be able to hire other people to work for him. That's what I'm teaching my son. And it's very easy because this is a social media age right now. Technology right now, we can do this. It's very easy. You see what I'm saying? I'm not teaching my son, yes, son, you know, I want you to make good grades in school, and when you graduate, go to college and get in all this student, you know, get in all this debt, or whatever the case may be. And we're going to find you a good job, you know, find you a good white man to work for so he can hire you. And if you do the right thing and do what he tell you to do and all that stuff there, you're going to be able to keep your job and work, and you're going to be able to pay your bills. I'm not teaching my son that bullshit, because that's what I was taught. And that's what my mother was taught, and so on and so on and so on. That shit don't work. You see what I'm saying? That shit don't work. You know, them white folks don't teach their kids that. The Jews don't teach their kids how to get old enough and go work for somebody else. They teach their kids how to be a boss, be your own boss, and control everything in your realm. You see what I'm saying? The Asians teach their kids that. You know, they teach them to work hard, but they teach them group economics on how to pool their resources together. We don't do that. So all I'm saying is, from an individual standpoint, it's not too late. You know, you can't be, you know, it's the saying that you can't teach old dogs new tricks. You know, if the dog don't want to learn, the reason why you can't teach an old dog new tricks is because the dog don't want to learn. Once a dog get a certain age, he don't want to learn. And me, I'm like a chameleon. I always adjust and adapt to every situation. You know what I mean? So whatever I want to know, whatever I'm trying to learn, I study it. You know what I mean? I really apply myself because I really want it to happen. You see what I'm saying? So all I'm saying is this, to make a long story short, to wrap this video up, I just want everybody to think about preparing for your economic future. You know, fight for your economic survival. Fight for your economic future. You see what I'm saying? If you're in your 40s, think about what you're going to be doing 10 years from now, 15 years from now. Do you still see yourself working on that same job? What if they fire you? And if they do fire you, then what? And you can't work all week just to party and live for the weekend. Because if you ain't saving no money up and talking about building no money and investing in anything, then your options is, I'm waiting on my check, I'm waiting on trying to get my pension from my job if you've been there long enough, and my Social Security gonna kick in. and hopefully my kids will get old enough to take care of me and all that stuff there. But if your kids don't take care of you because they going through economic issues also because they wasn't taught and trained, then where does that leave you? Fight for your economic survival. Fight for your economic future. What I'm trying to say. You see what I'm saying? Prepare, man. Prepare, man. Preparation makes for readiness. A hint to the wise is sufficient. Remember that. You see what I'm saying? So this just a little something I want to share with everybody, man. Other than that, that's it. That boy 400. I'm up out of here. Peace.